Time to break it down in layman's terms. We've got another great guest on our show today. She's an author, a thought leader, a sales professional, an innovator when it comes to social selling, a true pioneer, and somewhat of a friend. We've got Barb Giamanco here. Barb, welcome to Layman's Terms.
Hey, and back to you somewhat, friend.
Yeah, I know. Just putting it out there.
You're just putting it out there. It's good to be on the show. Thanks so much.
Well, thank you for coming out and doing this. We've done a lot of video collaboration projects, but today I wanted to talk about a recent topic. Let's get right to it. You wrote a blog post on the topic of social selling. Imagine that, people, social selling. Barb talking about social selling. She's been doing it for about 100 years. Not 100 years old, but you've been doing it for a while. But your topic what was the title? Just read out that title.
Yeah, the topic is, the title is Why I'm Over Social Selling.
Why are you over social selling?
Right, so anybody who read the post would know that I'm really not over the idea of integrating social into the sales process. What I'm over is the hype. The term has been overhyped. It's being talked about by people who claim to be experts who have never sold a darn thing in their lives. They have no idea what selling is really all about. They come out and they repeat the same words that everybody before them, including myself, has already spoken. They bring nothing new to the table. They're a bunch of posers, and I'm just tired of it.
The evangelism, the brand ambassadors, they show up when they want to be. They show up for the news. What you just said there is so profound, because I know a lot of social selling experts I never knew of until the last year or so, last year and a half. But at the end of the day, to be a social seller, to be an advocate, you've got to actually have experience carrying a bag and being able to sell.
That's right, because the other problem with the noise is it creates this false expectation that there's some sort of a shortcut to being great in sales. And wouldn't it be great if all you had to do was have a lot of followers and a lot of likes, and that led to business?
You got to have some form of sales acumen. You got to be able to be perceived as a trusted advisor, and that goes both ways. You got to have thought. You got to bring value to your customers and to your audience. Let's say you want to be the social selling evangelist or ambassador of whatever you want to do. You still have to have value.
Yeah, and
people
you have
see
to have
through that
sales
fluff.
skills, right? Sales skills. So, pardon me, but if you've only been selling for 2 years, I don't really think you have any business claiming to be an expert or that you know anything about what it takes to be successful in sales.
You mentioned about time and putting in the work, and I think I mentioned it too, about instant social selling expert. But really, it isn't really about time and years. It's really about the experience.
It is about the experience. And in Malcolm Gladwell's book, right, where he talks about outliers, there is really something to be said for the concept of the 10,000 hours. You've got to gain personal experience, and that's going to include the failures as well as the things that go well.
Fail fast, fail forward.
That's right. And also, you know, experience is helpful if you sell into different industries and to different customer types. If you've been in sales for 2 years working for one company, I'm sorry, you don't yet have the experience to be able to really hold that C-level kind of consultative kind of conversation. So again, I don't think it has to take you 20 years, but there's a lot to be said for working for different companies, trying strategies, being successful, but also failing. I've made a lot of mistakes in selling. I've made mistakes as a sales leader. And all of these things help you then to really, I think, be able to put yourself in the customer's shoes and have more understanding of what's important to them because you've been there. Right? You get that. You've been in business long enough to understand kind of what pains they're faced with. Doug, some of the young kids who come up, I don't think they understand that if they sell the wrong thing into a sales leader or a chief marketing officer or CIO, that could be a career limiting problem for them.
And you learn that through experience.
You do.
Learn that through results.
And you learn over time that it's so important to care about the people that you're working with, and you care that the solution you sell helps them, not harms them or their company organization.
Conveying value through experience and understanding your customer.
Pretty much.
In layman's terms. The title of the post, you're really not over social selling people.
No.
You're over the concept of people trying to game the system, people trying to be self-proclaimed experts. You're over the hype.
I am over the hype, and I think that it creates a lot of news and a lot of noise and a lot of confusion for the buyers. And then the irony, especially on Twitter, if you go look at the social selling hashtag, it's all these experts talking to each other. Well, I prefer to actually be participating in areas where my potential buyer is likely to be. But I guess in a good way,
a noble concept. Right, you want to be where your buyers are.
That's right. And in a way, maybe it's okay because the term, right, is buyers are hearing the term and they say, oh, and when they come to me, I get a chance to talk to them about what it really takes to be successful in selling. So I'm not over the need to integrate social media into your selling process. If you don't do that today, you're not going to be successful over the long haul. But I am over the BS and the hype.
You're over the BS and the hype, but you're not over the social, because social is a great tool when leveraged correctly to help expedite the sales cycle,
Right.
to be a sales accelerator, to be a sales innovator, to be able to communicate to your buyers. I also like the fact that a lot of so-called experts and social sellers, they all meet together and they all blab, they all group together, they all talk amongst
And
themselves.
take selfies.
And talks amongst themselves, but where are you with your customers? How are you generating revenue? At the end of the day, I don't really care if I'm on Joe Blow's list. I want to be on my customer's list.
Yeah, absolutely. Novel concept. And I really like what you said, Doug, about tools, because that's the other problem with social selling. The focus is on the tools, and tools don't sell for you. And in fact, using social channels only fits a specific part of the sales process on the front end, right? Developing new relationships, expanding your networks, doing your pre-sales call research. On the back end, to continue to nurture and stay in front of customers. But what about all that great sales stuff that has to go on in between?
Yeah.
And this is what the social selling experts fail to talk about. They don't talk about strategy. They don't talk about the things that really help you be successful in selling. Why? Because they can't. They've never sold.
And there you have it. They can't, because they don't have the sales acumen to be able to talk about it. Socially, they can throw it out there, but they don't have the chops to be able to convey that message. Now, is there anything else that you want to add in layman's terms?
All I want to say is followers and likes don't necessarily translate into revenue. If you want to know more, please come talk to me.
And there you have it, Barb Giamanco. Glad to finally get you on Layman's Terms Show. People out there, remember to keep it social, leverage video, to build brand awareness, to improve customer engagement, and go out and generate more sales. Thank you.
He puts it in layman's terms.
And this is why they call him the brand ambassador of video engagement.